Ryan, what's on your radar?
So today is September 27th, which was supposed to be the day that Josh Gottheimer managed to force a floor vote on the bipartisan infrastructure bill that passed the Senate earlier. His goal was to split that bipartisan bill away from the broader reconciliation bill so that he and his allies could pass the small one and water down or kill the latter. The dark money group No Labels that is backing his effort has made that goal explicit. Gottheimer won the concession of a vote from Pelosi, but crucially, he didn't win a promise of a successful vote. So the Congressional Progressive Caucus organized its members into a bloc and vowed to vote against the bipartisan bill unless the bigger bill came along with it. Bernie Sanders and 10 Democrats in the Senate backed them up. The media took a very long time to catch on, but finally realized that, wait a minute, these people are serious. So late last night, Nancy Pelosi sent out a letter announcing that the vote would be pulled. Debate on the bill starts today, but the vote has been scheduled now for Thursday. In years past, progressives would not have been able to make a credible enough threat to get the vote pulled from the floor. So what's different this time? For one, primaries matter, and progressives ousted a handful of corporate Democrats, and other progressives like Mondaire Jones and Jahana Hayes won open primaries against right-wing business-friendly Democrats. But that still doesn't quite explain it, because progressives are still, in general, stuck with a structural disadvantage. Because they want to actually pass things, and centrists are happy never passing anything, progressives have no leverage, since the choice is often between getting a little bit of something and getting nothing. That's exactly what happened with Obamacare. Progressives vowed they wouldn't support a health care bill without a robust public option. And in the end, they were told, here's the final bill. It'll give insurance to 20 or 25 million more people, and it'll expand Medicaid, but it has no public option. Are you a yes or a no? Faced with that choice, a progressive member of Congress is going to vote yes 99 out of 100 times, and leadership knows it. What's different here is that the corporate Democrats actually do want something this time. They worked really hard on their precious bipartisan infrastructure bill, and it includes a ton of corrupt giveaways their financial backers really do want. Don't take my word for it. Here's Peter DeFazio, chair of the Transportation Secretary, talking to NBC News reporter Sahil Kapoor. The crap written by those 12 rump senators, who are all pro-fossil fuel actually, does virtually nothing to reduce fossil fuel pollution from transportation. So I'm trying to fix that in reconciliation. They basically took out all of our climate provisions. They took my electric bus program and they cut it, and then they said, oh, and a third of the money has to be spent on fossil fuel buses. I mean, they're such jerks. The industry could have written their bill. Here's what AOC said on Instagram when asked if she'd be willing to tank the bipartisan bill if it didn't come with the other one.
Yes, nothing would give me more pleasure than to tank a billionaire, dark money, fossil fuel, Exxon lobbyist drafted energy infrastructure bill if they come after our child care and climate priorities.
And that's what makes this moment different. For progressives, the choice isn't between getting something that's just okay and getting something that's good. The bipartisan bill is in many ways a step backward, an actively bad piece of legislation that would make the world a worse place if not paired with the climate and social policy piece. Just spending more money on roads and bridges and fossil fuel infrastructure while the world burns isn't a half a loaf. It's not even stale bread. It's straight up moldy. Throw it in the compost. And so, for once, centrists and progressives both have an interest in getting something passed, and that's why it's so important to keep the two pieces linked to each other. Aside from the complaints from Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema about the amount of spending, Sinema is now claiming she won't support any increases in either the corporate tax rate or the personal tax rate for the wealthy. If she holds firm in her defense of the Trump tax cuts, all of this maneuvering may end up being for nothing. Yet at the same time, she's done nothing back home except brag about her ability to get the bipartisan infrastructure bill finished and talk about how addressing climate change is our highest priority. It'll be hard for her to explain why she blew all that up just to protect Trump's tax cuts. And so, Robbie, were you surprised that this long anticipated vote that was supposed to be this big showdown between progressives and centrists on Monday night, tonight, on the House floor, last night Pelosi threw in the towel and said, you know what? I don't have the votes.
Right. It is interesting. I mean, we're at such an interesting moment in this battle for the Democratic Party between the progressives and the moderates. Now, so you and I might disagree on this. I think the pitch that the moderates have is that, this is a center-right country. The Joe Biden sort of moderate Democratic Party is the one that is broadly popular. At the same time, because of, the structural quirks of our system, the moderates are probably going to get wiped out in the next election cycle. You're going to actually probably have a more progressive Democratic Party, and maybe they'll be advancing more of the kind of things that you want, but then up against a probably Republican Party that's in better shape than it is right now.
What's so unusual about this moment is that Joe Biden is actually against the Joe Biden wing of the party right now. Like Joe Biden himself is allied on this question with AOC, with Bernie Sanders, and weirdly with Pelosi and Schumer. And because Gottheimer forced this scheduling of a September 27th date, then Pelosi, who's in charge of kind of the scheduling and whipping votes, is tasked with getting the votes to pass this bill when she had previously said that she wanted to do the two-track strategy. She wants to keep them together.
Right.
She's with Bernie, with AOC, with Schumer, with Biden on this idea that it's either both or it's neither. And so the other question is, how hard is she actually working this?
Yeah.
So was it actually a concession last night when she was like, gee, Josh, I really did everything I could, to try to, get the votes for this thing that you forced me to do, but I couldn't do it. And so and that raises the question of Thursday. I don't think the Thursday vote is going to happen either, because little will have changed between now and then.
I mean, Pelosi clearly really wants to get something done, right? She wants a win. I think she's probably thinking about her legacy at this point. It's, she's reaching the end of the road in terms of her political career, I suspect. Yeah. I mean, she's made that. I think she's explicitly made that promise, and she probably wants to handpick her successor as well. So she wants, the political capital that accrues from having pulled something like this off. So I think that's her motivation as well.
Yeah, I think she in particular wants the child care stuff.
Yeah.
Like that plus CHIP plus all the work she's done in the past. She thinks that she can be the speaker who ended child poverty.
Yeah.
I mean, that won't be accurate, but but she hopes that, 30, 40, 50 years from now, when people think of her, they think of her as the one that did it, like that she's directly linked with both the child tax credit, expanded child care, or pre-K3, pre-K4, that to her is a legacy item that trumps, I think, everything else, and that's why everybody's incentives are aligned here. But I'm looking forward to what's on your radar up next.